What would you say if a cop asked to search your car right now? If you answer the way most innocent people do, you can turn a simple stop into a full search in seconds. And once that happens, you lose control of the whole encounter fast. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to show you could save you from a search, a charge, or a very bad night on the side of the road. And tap like now so you can find this video again when your mind goes blank during a real stop. Most people think police encounters are about guilt. They're not. They're about pressure. They're about speed. They're about getting you to talk, agree, and hand over rights you didn't even know you had. Most people have no idea how fast that can happen. One polite question, one nervous laugh, one little sure, and now your glove box, trunk, backpack, and center console are all open. Let me show you exactly what's coming in this video. You're going to learn the one sentence that blocks consent searches, the question that exposes whether the stop is still legal, the exact moment you should stop talking, and the calm response that keeps you safe if the officer gives you orders anyway. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos and the same mistakes keep showing up. Innocent drivers talk too much. They try to sound nice. They try to explain everything. And they accidentally make the officer's job easier. Now here's the part that scares people. You can be fully innocent and still fail this test. You don't need drugs in the car. You don't need a warrant out for your arrest. You don't need to be hiding anything. All you need is stress. That's it. Stress makes people overshare. Stress makes people agree to things they never had to agree to. Stress makes people think being extra helpful will make the stop end faster. Usually it does the opposite. Here's the reality. A traffic stop is supposed to be short. License, registration, insurance, ticket, or warning. Then you leave. But the second the stop turns into a fishing trip, everything changes. That's why you need a script before you need it. Not after. Not while lights are flashing behind you. Before. Let me show you exactly how smart drivers keep control without fighting, yelling, or acting weird. The first tactic is simple, and it is the one most people fail. When the officer asks for permission to search, you refuse clearly and calmly. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Word for word. Memorize that line. Do not dress it up. Do not make it longer. Do not say, I guess so, or I don't care, or I have nothing to hide. Those are losing answers. They sound harmless, but they open the door, literally. This works because police often ask for consent when they do not yet have enough legal reason to search on their own. They're looking for your permission because your permission makes their job easy. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In a case called Schneckloth versus Bustamante, the court said a consent search can be valid even if the person did not know they could refuse. In plain English, that means if you say yes, the court may treat that yes as real permission, even if you were nervous, and even if the officer never told you that you could say no. That is why your words matter so much. Bad way. Most drivers say, go ahead, I've got nothing to hide. Then a simple stop becomes a full search, and now every bag, pocket, and box gets attention. Good way. Smart drivers say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then the officer has to rely on actual legal grounds instead of your fear. Watch what happens when you use that line. The whole tone changes. The officer now knows you understand the difference between a request and an order. That matters. You're not being rude. You're not resisting. You're not escalating. You're just declining a request. This is 100% legal. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it creates a clean record. If the search happens anyway, your refusal can matter later. If you never refused, it gets much harder to argue that the search was against your will. Here's what innocent people do wrong. They think refusal sounds suspicious. It doesn't. Consent sounds easy in the moment, but it can create huge problems later. Maybe your friend left something in the car months ago. Maybe there's a legal item that looks illegal at first glance. Maybe an officer misunderstands what he sees. Once the search starts, you can't take your consent back like nothing happened. And even if nothing is found, you just gave away privacy for free. Now think about the good outcome. You stay calm, you keep your voice normal. You say the line once. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. If the officer lets it go, great. If the officer keeps pushing, you just repeat it. No speeches, no attitude, no debate on the roadside. That one sentence protects you better than 10 nervous explanations ever will. Former police officers have confirmed this works because calm refusal forces the encounter back into legal lanes. And that is where you want it. Have you ever been asked for consent during a stop and felt your brain freeze? Tell me in the comments what you think you would say now. The second tactic is how you stop a fishing trip from dragging on forever. After the reason for the stop is handled, you ask one clean question. You look at the officer and say this: am I being detained or am I free to leave? Those exact words. Not angry, not sarcastic, just calm. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. A traffic stop cannot last forever just because an officer feels curious. The stop has a mission. Check your documents. deal with the traffic issue, keep things safe, then it should end. In Rodriguez versus United States, the Supreme Court said police cannot drag out a traffic stop longer than needed, just to investigate other crimes, unless they have more facts to justify it. In plain English, they can't finish your ticket and then keep you there just to go on a hunch hunt. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection when a stop starts sliding away from the original reason. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess I'll wait. Or they keep chatting because they think being friendly will help. Then the stop stretches longer and more questions start coming. Good way. Smart drivers say, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Then the officer has to make the moment clear. That question matters because it forces a fork in the road. If you are free to leave, you leave. Quietly. If you're detained, now you know the stop is still active. And you stop acting like this is a casual conversation. Here's the reality. A lot of people do not know when the official stop has ended and when the voluntary chat has started. The confusion helps police. Your question removes that confusion. Watch what happens after you ask it. Sometimes the officer says, just hang tight, because he wants more time. Sometimes he says, you're free to go, because he knows he has no reason to keep you. Either way, you learn something useful right away. You're not guessing anymore. This is not magic words. It does not make police disappear, but it does something powerful. It makes the legal status of the encounter clear. Now let's be smart about this. If the officer says you are still detained, do not argue. Do not say, that's illegal. Do not try to win a roadside court case. Your goal is clarity, not a debate. Ask the question once, listen, then move to the next tactic. That's how you protect yourself. Not with drama, with control. Also remember this. Some states have laws that may require you to identify yourself during a lawful detention. The Supreme Court talked about that in Hebel. In plain English, that means you may have to give your name or ID, but that does not mean you have to answer every extra question about where you're going or what's in the car. Your ID is one thing, a full interview is another. The third tactic is the one that saves people who talk themselves into trouble. Once basic ID stuff is handled, you stop answering investigative questions. Listen closely because this is critical. Police are trained to sound casual. Where are you coming from? Whose car is this? You got anything illegal in there? Why are you so nervous? Those questions are not small talk. They are evidence building. Here's exactly what you say. I choose to remain silent and I want a lawyer. Keep it short. Keep it clean. Say it once. People hear that line and think it sounds too dramatic. It's not. It's protective. You do not need to wait until you are in handcuffs to stop talking. You do not need to answer a pile of questions just because the officer asks them in a calm voice. This is 100% legal. The Fifth Amendment protects your right not to help build a case against yourself. And yes, even innocent people need that protection. Innocent people guess. Innocent people misspeak. Innocent people get tired, scared, and inconsistent. Bad way. Most drivers say, I only had one drink, or that bag isn't mine, or I'm just coming from my friend's place. Words become the center of investigation. Good way. Smart drivers say, I choose to remain silent and I want a lawyer. Then the officer loses the free stream of statements that could be twisted later. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and defense attorneys use this exact line in court. It tells everyone later that you invoked your rights on purpose. No guessing. No gray area. Let me show you exactly why this works so well. The officer may still keep doing his job. He may still write the ticket. He may still ask more questions. But now you have stopped feeding the machine. That matters more than people realize. A lot of drivers think silence makes them look guilty. That is one of the biggest traps in any police encounter. Talking does not prove innocence. Talking proves availability. Once you start explaining, you create details. Details create gaps. Gaps create suspicion. And suspicion creates more delay. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos. The pattern is brutal. The more the driver talks, the more the stop grows. The less the driver talks, the less material there is to work with. Now I need to make one thing clear. If the officer gives you a direct lawful order, you comply physically. If he asks for your license, hand it over. If he tells you to step out, do not argue in the seat. Silence is not physical resistance. Silence is not ignoring instructions. Silence means you stop volunteering information. That difference is huge. Most people already clicked away. If you're still here, you're in the top 10%. Drop a comment saying, I'm still here, because the next part is where innocent drivers usually make mistakes. The fourth tactic is how you stay safe when the officer gives orders you do not like. This one shocks people. The officer can often order you out of the car during a lawful stop. That comes from Pennsylvania versus Mims. In plain English, the court said an officer can make the driver step out for safety reasons during a valid stop. So if you try to refuse that order, you can make things worse fast. The smart move is different. You say this, Officer, I will comply with your orders, but I do not consent to any searches. Those exact words. Then you do what you were lawfully ordered to do. Bad way. Most drivers say, "No, I'm not getting out," or "You can't make me." Tension jumps fast. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I will comply with your orders, but I do not consent to any searches." Then they protect safety and preserve rights at the same time. That line is powerful. It separates compliance and consent. They are not the same. If the officer has power to order you out, you comply. But you do not have to pretend you agreed to a search. Obey the order while making your position clear. Former police officers have confirmed this works because calm compliance lowers risk for everyone. If the officer later claims you volunteered for more than you did, your words matter. This connects to frisks. In Arizona versus Johnson, the court said police can pat down a person if they suspect they are armed and dangerous. They need actual facts, not just a vibe or a guess. Do not talk your way into looking like a threat. Keep your hands visible. Move slowly. Ask before reaching. And keep repeating the same calm line if needed. Schneckloth means your yes can count, even if you didn't know you could refuse. Say no clearly. Rodriguez means police cannot keep stretching a stop longer than needed to investigate other stuff. Pennsylvania v. Mims means an officer can usually make you step out. Comply physically. Keep rights clear. Hebel means you may have to identify yourself, but you don't have to answer extra questions. These cases give you a script and clear lanes. Calm words are easier to remember under pressure. Let's walk through the full test. You're driving home. Lights flash. You pull over safely. The officer says you rolled through a stop sign. He takes your license, then comes back and starts talking. Wrong way first. You smile too much. You say, "Just my buddy's place," when he asks where you're coming from. He asks if you were drinking. You say, "Only one beer?" He asks to look in the car. You say, "Sure." Now the right way. Same stop. Documents handed over. Hands visible. He asks where you're coming from. You say, "I choose to remain silent." He asks if there's anything illegal. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." You ask, "Am I being detained or am I free to leave?" If detained, you stay calm and silent. If he orders you out, you say, "I will comply with your orders, but I do not consent to any searches." Next week, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed. Subscribe now so you catch it. Stay safe out there. Smash the like button. Drop a comment. That is the whole test. Don't fail it.